Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
I was really surprised to have such a chance encounter. It felt like more than just a coincidence, almost like fate. Or maybe it was just good luck. Either way, this meeting was really remarkable. My name is Frank, I'm 44, and my wife Amy is also 44. The other couple we met, Mark and Yuli, are 46 and 43, respectively. We have a son in college, who's mostly independent now. He lives alone in an apartment near his school and doesn't ask us for money much anymore, since he works part-time. As parents, we set aside money to support him if needed, but we're mostly just grateful he's growing up well. Even though we're only 44, when our son was living at home, it was hard to find time for each other as a couple. Now, though, we're able to really enjoy our time together in different ways, and yes, that includes some special moments at night. Amy has always looked young for her age. She's petite but has a feminine figure, and even now, I still feel a thrill when I see her changing or stepping out of the shower. Not long ago, while she was cooking dinner, I snuck up behind her, playfully catching her by surprise. She grumbled, "I'm cooking right now," but her tone softened, and soon enough, we ended up sharing a special moment together. A little while ago, at the suggestion of a senior colleague, Amy and I joined a kind of couples group. It's a bit hard to explain, but it's a circle where couples exchange partners. At first, we were embarrassed and wondered if we should quit. But after a while, the nervousness wore off, and we found ourselves intrigued enough to keep going back every couple of months. To be clear, we haven't actually participated beyond just listening to others' stories. But even just hearing their experiences brought a new excitement into our own relationship. There are several weekend farms in our area, and the one we belong to holds an annual potato digging event. It's popular, with lots of people joining to get fresh potatoes. At this year's event, we met a couple, Mark and Yuli, who were also there without kids. Like us, their children had grown up and moved out. They mentioned that they used to come with their kids, but felt a bit lonely now coming as just the two of them. We'd seen them around before, but hadn't really had a chance to talk. This time, we ended up next to them and got a chatting. It was a warm day, and everyone was sweating as they dug for potatoes. Yuli stood out in her outfit. She wore a slightly loose t-shirt and a pair of short shorts with rubber boots. Her legs were quite exposed, and I couldn't help but worry she'd get bitten by bugs. At the same time, I found her appearance quite attractive and had trouble looking away. Every time Yuli changed her position, I couldn't help but glance in her direction, feeling a strange tension as I worried Amy might catch me looking. Especially when she bent over, I felt my heart racing at the glimpse of her underwear that was almost, but not quite, visible. To keep myself distracted, I casually started chatting with Mark while digging. "Your wife looks so youthful and beautiful. I'm a little envious," I blurted out, then worried I'd sounded too interested. But Mark surprised me with his response. "Thanks. She's got quite the energy at night, too. I'm 46, and sometimes I can barely keep up," he said with a laugh. Then he added, "Your wife is beautiful, too," with a glance at Amy. Mark and I kept talking as we worked, and Amy and Yuli seemed to be getting along too, chatting and laughing as they pulled out big potatoes. It was surprising to find another couple we clicked with so well in our weekend farm group, and I started to feel like this could be the beginning of a long friendship. After the potato harvest wrapped up, everyone gathered their potatoes and started to head home. On our way out, Yuli smiled and said, "We got a great haul today." Mark chimed in, "Since it's a special occasion, how about grabbing a drink tonight?" Amy agreed, "Sounds good. A cold beer would be perfect after all this work," and Yuli added, "Let's have a nice long chat tonight." Before we knew it, we'd made plans to meet for drinks. We went home first to wash up, then headed to a bar near the train station to meet them. As we walked in, we heard Mark's loud voice calling, "Over here." He and Yuli had already ordered beers and were snacking on peanuts. Amy and I joined them, and we all raised a glass to celebrate our new friendship. There's a saying, "It's a big world, and fate works in mysterious ways." We had no idea that such a compatible couple lived in the same area and even went to the same weekend farm. I suppose we cross paths with plenty of people we'd get along with, but we rarely get the chance to actually connect. Over drinks, we discovered that Mark and Yuli were quite open-minded and even enjoyed talking about spicy topics. They mentioned that as a couple in their mid-40s, they sometimes spend a night at a hotel in the city to rekindle their romance, which surprised us. Amy and I were starting to feel a bit tipsy. Mark could hold his liquor, but Yuli looked a little drowsy, her eyes slightly glazed. At one point, Yuli, half asleep, suddenly asked, "Are you two interested in other couples' relationships?" At first, we weren't sure what she meant, but after a moment, we realized she was hinting at the idea of couple swapping, similar to the group we'd recently been introduced to. Amy and I exchanged a glance, silently asking each other if Mark and Yuli were really part of that kind of group too. Mark confirmed, "Yeah, we tried it out recently, and Yuli really enjoyed it. It was something new and exciting for us." It was surprising to find a couple so close to home who shared this interest, and even more surprising that we were growing close with them. So I decided to be honest. "Actually, we're into that too," I admitted. Mark looked pleasantly surprised. "Really?" I was hesitant to bring it up, but I'm glad I did. Yuli, even though she looked sleepy, smiled brightly and said, "That's wonderful. I'm really looking forward to it." Amy blushed a little, but I could tell she was excited at the thought of having a couple nearby to explore this with. In the end, Mark and I made plans to have a practice get-together the following weekend. Back at home, Amy and I discussed what it would be like to connect with people who lived so close to us in this way. It felt a little nerve-wracking but also exciting. Amy sat beside me, holding my hand. I could feel a slight tremble, sensing her nervousness. I put my arm around her shoulders, gently brushing her hair back. "I think it'll be a fun experience. I'm a little shy too, but with Mark and Yuli, I feel like it could be enjoyable," I said with a reassuring smile. That night, Amy seemed more passionate than usual, as if she couldn't contain her anticipation. She initiated things more assertively than usual, and I responded in kind. We took our time, savoring our night together in a way that felt both familiar and new. On the day of the practice gathering, I got ready to go out, feeling a bit nervous. Amy wore a white knit dress that hugged her figure and gave off a bold vibe. She had even changed her lipstick color, adding a touch of excitement. Amy seemed eager. Just then, Yuli called Amy, saying she and Mark would pick us up. Before long, they arrived. The car was a minivan, roomy and comfortable, so I settled into the back seat with Amy. Yuli sat up front, catching my eye with her outfit, a short miniskirt and a low-cut V-neck top, highlighting her confident and alluring style. Her elegant yet daring fashion added a sense of thrill to the moment. I wondered how the practice gathering would unfold. Mark glanced at us in the rearview mirror, saying, "We're a bit nervous, too. Let's just relax and enjoy." I replied, "Yes, we're nervous as well, but really looking forward to it." Yuli, her face slightly flushed, smiled and said, "Same here, I'm a little anxious, too." Soon, we arrived at a lodge and followed Mark and Yuli to our reserved room. It was a twin room. Mark suggested, "How about we start by sharing moments with our own partners? If we're comfortable with this, we can consider a real partner exchange next time." Mark's proposal was different from what we'd initially imagined, but it made sense. An immediate partner exchange would be quite intense, especially with people we know from the neighborhood. His suggestion allowed us to take things gradually, getting comfortable with sharing intimacy within our own partnerships first before moving on to a full swap. Even so, I still felt nervous. The idea was to share intimate moments with our own partners in separate beds within the same room. Mark said, "Yuli and I will shower first," as they headed to the bathroom together. To calm our nerves, Amy and I sipped the tea we'd brought and took deep breaths. Amy confessed, "This is the first time I felt like this. It's a little embarrassing, but showing our intimate time while another couple is right there. It's making me feel warm all over." I agreed, saying, "Yes, it's the same for me." And being able to see Mark and Yuli so closely. Just as we were talking, Mark and Yuli came back from the bathroom. To my surprise, they were both wrapped in only towels, sitting on the sofa next to the bed. "Go ahead and take your shower," Mark said, opening a can of beer while Yuli opted for cola, as Yuli would be driving later. They seemed very at ease, hinting that they might have had more experience than we realized. Amy and I showered together, and we returned to the room, each wrapped in a single towel. Yuli then suggested, "Shall we start slowly, at each of our own paces?" She moved to sit on the bed, and Amy followed, saying, "Yes, it's embarrassing but very intriguing." Mark and Yuli's eyes were on us, and I could feel our gazes naturally drawn to each other as well. Then, Mark and Yuli leaned toward each other and shared a kiss. Watching them, I felt a surge of excitement and embraced Amy, who responded by surrendering herself to me. Both couples shared long, passionate kisses, exploring each other's lips. While I was enjoying the intimate moment with Amy, I occasionally glanced at Yuli. As Mark carefully removed Yuli's towel, her beautiful silhouette was gradually revealed. Yuli's ample breasts seemed to move rhythmically under Mark's gentle caresses. Even though I was with Amy, I couldn't help but be captivated by Yuli's attractive curves, and I found myself looking forward to the moment we might be together. However, at the same time, I savored the precious moments with Amy even more deeply. This unique experience added a new dimension of excitement and intimacy for me. I removed Amy's towel. She said, "Oh, I'm suddenly feeling shy," but despite blushing, she didn't cover herself up again. Yuli's body, Amy's body. Right now, in this space, two couples were passionately spending time with their respective partners. This situation was beyond anything we could imagine in our ordinary lives. We had heard a few stories about swinging before, but today's experience was by far the most exciting. It was truly special to enjoy our own intimate moments while occasionally glancing at the other couple. I found myself thinking that even if we actually swapped partners later, I'd like to experience something like this again. Amy seemed very aroused, breathing more heavily than usual. Her attempts to stifle these sounds out of embarrassment only stimulated me more. We changed positions so that we could see each other better during our intimate time. This scene was completely different from watching adult videos. The vivid spectacle unfolding before our eyes evoked intense sensations that couldn't be felt through a screen. The tension in the air, the sound of breathing, the body heat, all of these elements combined to stimulate me further, making me experience a new level of excitement I had never felt before. When I watched their moments of climax, I noticed Yuli's face turning red. She seemed very embarrassed whenever our eyes met, quickly averting her gaze. Mark was also looking in our direction, probably observing Amy's body. To be honest, I felt a twinge of jealousy, but the fact that another man was looking at my wife Amy's body evoked a strange feeling in me, which only excited us more. Both couples finished their intimate time almost simultaneously, each of us a bit flushed and self-conscious. Afterward, Amy and Yuli wrapped themselves in towels again. Amy turned to Yuli, saying, "Shall we take another bath together?" As they headed to the bathroom hand in hand, Mark turned to me and asked, "How did you feel about the practice gathering?" I replied, "It was incredible." I felt a mix of jealousy and embarrassment, but also something surprisingly liberating. Mark nodded, saying, "I'm glad. It's great to have people in the neighborhood who share this interest." I suggested, "Maybe next time, we can do an actual exchange," and Mark agreed, saying, "Yes, let's make it happen soon." Just then, Amy and Yuli returned, already dressed. Women are always so quick. Mark and I laughed as we hurried to shower and change, bringing the evening to a close. Back home, I asked Amy, "Would you be open to a real exchange gathering next time?" Blushing, she replied, "If you want to, then yes." So I immediately messaged Mark, proposing we plan a real partner exchange gathering soon.